The idea for this film actually came to me after I had an electrical fire in my apartment in New York City. The fire was caused by a power surge that knocked out almost all of my household appliances. But before I took them down to the garbage, I ripped out all the circuit boards to see if I could make something with them. When I laid them all on the table, the first thing that struck me was that it looked like a city from an airplane's perspective. To the base layer of circuit boards, I added some skyscrapers, household objects from the last century, everything from an old razor to some drill bits. I wanted the city to have a retro-futuristic feel. I crammed a lot of glass and plastics and metal in there in order to create a timeless air around it. To defend the city from attack, I used my collection of old skeleton keys. They looked exactly like anti-aircraft guns, with their hollow barrels and menacing teeth. I also had this collection of clown head cupcake toppers from the 1950s and 60s. But I noticed that the stick fit perfectly within the hollow barrels of the old keys, almost like two pieces of a bizarre puzzle that was meant to be together. There's an underlying logic behind the choice of every object in the film. For instance, here, popcorn seemed to be the perfect anti-aircraft fire exploding around the plane, since popcorn itself is a food explosion. There are absolutely no special effects in the film. Here you can see a kernel of popcorn suspended by an invisible string. The Blue Bomber is actually a vintage toy from the 1940s. Not only do matchsticks look like missiles at this scale, but they have the added association of striking and firing. I used puffs of cotton on the end of each matchstick to represent smoke as the missiles are being launched. It's one of those details that goes by so quickly in the film that you'd hardly notice it. I used yellow gift bows first and foremost because they look exactly like real explosions. Gift bows are really just a single ribbon held together by one staple in the back. It's actually quite a beautiful object, but it's incredibly wasteful. It's almost 40 feet of ribbon that goes into every bow. I counted it, actually. I read somewhere that atomic bombs have a peanut structure, that they have two chambers of different material joined by a narrow channel. One of the incongruities of modern warfare is that when we drop bombs on other countries, inevitably 100 miles away, we're dropping food to help sustain the people whose lives we're destroying. It's interesting that one of the foods that always gets dropped is peanut butter, because it's so packed with protein. Peanuts may be very much like a little bomb with an outside casing and a little nut inside. But they're also very much like a Christmas gift. In fact, the closest a food can get to a Christmas gift. They have a little package that you rip open, and as you get closer to the gift, they even have tissue paper surrounding it. By using glass Christmas tree ornaments from the 1950s, I was able to create a kind of hybrid explosion at the end of the film. It certainly has elements of an atomic blast to it, but I think it also has an air of chemical or germ warfare about it. It's almost as if this Technicolor virus is boiling up from below the surface of the city to destroy it. And last but not least, the title of the film, Kaboom. I never underestimate the value of a well-chosen title. Like the objects, titles come with lots of associations. Here, Kaboom was a cereal from the 70s. They still sell it today. It was nothing more than thousands of sugary clown heads in every box. Kaboom was also a video game for the Atari 2600 system. It came out in 1981 and it became very popular. It featured this character, referred to in the program as the Mad Bomber. He'd sit at the top of the screen. His only job was to run along the top of the screen and to drop bombs.